Hello and welcome to the hip power workout. We're going to get started down on the floor or on your mat. So make sure you have somewhere comfortable. And if you don't have a mat, you can always use a towel if you prefer to lay that on the floor instead. So come on down to your floor. You're going to stretch out one leg and bend the other knee. We're going to start by reaching down to touch your feet. So if it's more comfortable to cross one leg over the top to touch your feet, let's do that way. I'm going to reach towards you so you can see my feet a little bit better. For hip power, we actually want to start with mobilizing the toes and mobilizing through the feet. So that way your hip is not trying to compensate and do all of the work for your whole leg, including your foot. So let's create a bit of mobility down at the bottom of the leg first. So you're going to take your big toe and your second toe, and you're going to lift one and push down through the other. And we're going to alternate one up, one down, about 3 or 4 times on each set of toes. So let's switch to the other, one up, one down. So we're on the second toe and third toe. Any amount of stretch and mobility is fine. Let's move on to the next, third and fourth toe, up and down. We're just looking to get a little bit of stretch between the toes. You don't have to force or shove. Now let's go to the fourth toe and fifth toe. Hello, little pinky toe. Let's give you a little bit of love and a little bit of room to move. A pinky toe doesn't often move very much. All right, this set of toes is done. Before we move to the second side, we're going to take a bit of time to create a little bit of ease. I want you to hold the bottom of your foot, thumbs go on top, and we're just going to rub from the middle of your foot towards your toes. Make sure you get in the direction of all of the toes. Again, this could be just simply done here on the side. And if it's easier, you could go this way. Yeah? Whichever one feels better in your body. Make sure that your hip is not cramping while you're doing this work. Now, let's everybody take the foot across. You're going to take the opposite hand to foot and just rub the thumb across the pad of your foot. And then the other thumb can kind of go in an upward motion. So across, upward motion, across the pad, upward motion. Now let's start going upward motion on the outside edge of the arch and across the pad with the top hand. And if your hands get all mixed up, just rub the bottom of your foot. That's really what we're doing here. Very last, we're going to bring a little bit of fluid flow into your ankles. So let's just rub on the outside of the ankle. And notice I'm kind of cupping my heel. So I get a little bit of a pull at the bottom of the heel. Now let's do that on the outside of the ankle. So just switching hands, whichever one works best for you in that moment. Good. Now all that on the second side. Big toe. Second toe, one up, one down, 3 or 4 times. Don't shove them around. Just get a nice gentle stretch or pull between the toes. Now, second toe, third toe. So we're taking the same sequence onto the second side. Here we go, third toe, fourth toe. We don't have to spend a lot of time. If this feels good and you want to spend more time, you are welcome to. Let's go to the fourth toe and fifth toe. But to create the power, we don't really need a lot of time. We just need to create a little bit of that mobility. One more. Good. Now hands go underneath, thumbs go on the top, and just give a little rub towards the toes. And if it feels good to go off the end of the toes, by all means, go for that. We're just kind of rejuvenating the blood flow and a lot of the other fluid that comes through your feet. Yeah. Now, a little bit higher, and then we're going to take this leg, cross it over the other knee. Here's where you're going to take hands on the bottom of the foot. So we're going to go from the big toe to the little toe, just across the pad of the toe. Then the other hand, the top hand, reaches thumb up towards the big toe and then go across, and up towards the big toe and come across. There we are. And now start taking the opposite hand to the bottom or the outside edge. And you're going to go up towards the toes, and then the top hand can try and take it a little bit across. And one more. Now let's come up to the ankle. So just kind of cup the heel and your thumb rubs around right the bottom of the ankle there. So here's my ankle bone. You're coming just underneath. We're just kind of hydrating that area a little bit. So once you need to get up and walking through the day, you have a little bit more blood flow and fluid in that area. Let's go to the outside, cupping the heel. Bring a little bit more energy flow into those ankles. We don't often rub our ankles or give them a lot of love and attention the way that they need. Yeah, and a little bit of hip cup pull. There we are. So now we have a little bit more flexibility in through the feet. So next, you're going to take a seat, and feet are going to be about as wide as your frontal hip bones. Hands will go behind you. I'll show you from the side. Any direction that feels good. We're just sitting nice and tall, and it's fine for the elbows to bend. Feet are your hip distance. You're going to sway the knees to one side and then the other. Sway to one side and then the other. Now, as you sway your knees to the left, I want you to pull the right inner thigh into your pelvis. And then as you go to the right with the legs, pull the left inner thigh into the pelvis. I'll show you from this direction. So as the knees sway to the side, pull the inner thigh into the pelvis. And then to the other side, pull the inner thigh into the pelvis. So as you rock side to side, both legs are pulling back in, and what we're doing is creating a connection in the hip joint. So notice I'm not swaying through my hips, my pelvis, side to side. I'm staying equally grounded on the mat, and just the leg bones are doing the work. And in order to create that activation in the hip joint that gives you power when you're up and out and walking, you have to create that connection right at that hip joint. So how far can you take the knees, keeping equal weight on the bottom of your hips, left and right? All right, let's move on from there. We're going to get into some leg strengthening work now that we've activated up into your hips. So lie down on your side. Create a little pillow with your bottom arm. Take a moment. Bottom armpit is going to pull towards the hips, so you have an activation of the muscles on the bottom side of your body. Now, zip up through the front of your abdominals so you have support through your low spine. Extend your top leg. The bottom knee is going to stay bent. Now, the top leg, remember how you pulled the leg bone in before? Do that here with both legs. Both legs pull into the pelvis. Now, top leg is going to internally rotate, meaning knee is going to point down. And then externally rotate, and the knee is going to point up. So your thigh bone rolls down, inward. Thigh bone rolls up, outward. Let's go again. Rolling inward and outward. Good. We call this internal rotation and external rotation. Let's do two more like that. Turning in, turning out. We're not moving the hips at all. We're just moving the leg bone. Now take that leg to internal rotation. Keep that position. Top hand can go on your hips so you know it stays nice and still. You're going to bring the knees together, but notice my feet don't touch. Then stretch the leg long and see if you can bring the leg in line with your body. Bring the knees together and then press out long and knees together. Now as you press, push through the heel. And again, bend and push through the heel. You don't have to super flex your foot to push through the heel. We're just getting activation on the back side of the body. Take this one more time. Bend the knee, push out through the heel. Now hold here. Way out here. Can you internally rotate a little bit more? Now lower the toes to touch and lift the heel. But as you lift, don't go into this external rotation. Maintain the internal rotation so you're working deep in the back part of your glutes and deep in the hip joint, not just at the front where we all tend to work the easiest. So that part tends to overwork because it's so accomplished at it. Very nice. Bend that knee. Give it a little bit of a pat out as needed. Here's your last exercise. Knees together. You're going to turn out through the top knee. And again, we're going to take that internal rotation by bringing the knees together and taking the feet apart. So let's touch the heels and let's touch the knees. Keep going. Hips stay nice and steady, so they're not rocking and rolling all around. We'll take 3 more like this. Check in that you're still zipped up through your low belly. And you have 1 more. And now rest the legs. Let's release this out. Another thing that gives hips power is by stretching this low back, so just above the hips. So to do that, take both arms out in front of you, relaxed on the floor. Let your head fall down to the floor and just draw the shoulders away from the ears. We're going to take a big stretch across the chest. So your top arm is going to bend and slide that hand across the chest. Let both shoulder blades sink down to the floor, and then you can unfold the top arm out to the side and look towards that back hand. Now let your knees go where they need to go. To return, curl the fingers in towards your elbow. Hand comes to the chest, and then nice and heavy arm, nothing forced. Arm comes across the body and back forward, just a little past your bottom arm. Let's do that 1 more time. Nice and easy. Think about the shoulders coming down to the floor. How much of the shoulder blades could touch? It's okay if they don't touch all the way, but just think about them being heavy. Then unfold the arm back behind you, looking towards the hand, getting a nice stretch through your whole back. And then curl fingers in, hand is heavy, and return all the way back forward. That was all on one side. Press yourself all the way up. Let's switch the legs around to the second side. You'll lie down onto your side. And then let's take a little bit of a pillow with your bottom hand. Now, here we go. Top leg stretches long. Bottom elbow pulls in, or bottom armpit pulls in towards the bottom hip. I don't want a big side bend, just an activation of those bottom oblique muscles. Zip up through your front abdominals, and then let's take that internal rotation and external rotation. If you'd like, top hand can go on your hip to make sure the hips are not wiggling around, but this part, your pelvis, actually stays nice and still, and it's just the leg bone that rolls upward and rolls downward. Yes, so that's your external and internal rotation. Let's do just a couple more. Turn out, turn in, turn out, turn in. We have 1 more. Turn out, turn in, and hold. Now from here, bend the knee so the knees touch, and then press out through the heel. Bend the knee so the heels touch. Press out through the heel. As you continue a few more, check in that you're still zipped up through the front belly and your bottom oblique is still active. Still staying in this internal rotation. Let's take 1 more. Stretch the leg and hold. Is there any more you can go into your internal rotation, keeping the hips stacked, one on top of the other? Now lower the leg to touch the toes, lift the heel. Lower and lift. You should be feeling some warmth in the back part of your glutes at this point. That's the area that we're looking to target, and that is what is going to bring you power into your hips when you are out walking, hiking, running, even swimming. All of this power stems from deep in the hip joint. Let's take 2 more and 1 more, and then rest the knees together. You can give it a quick little pat out if you like. We're taking 1 more version. Let's take open through the top knee, hips stay stacked, and then switch so that the knees touch and the feet go apart. Let's touch the heels and touch the knees. Stay zipped up through your low belly and touch the knees. And switch heels and knees. Are your shoulders relaxed away from the ears? just checking in. We go 3 and 2, heel touch, knee touch. One more, heel touch, knee touch, and rest the knees. Now from here, both arms reach out long, shoulders draw down away from the ears. And let's take that nice big stretch for your low back. You're going to drag the arm across the body. Bend the elbow. Relax both shoulders down onto the mat as much as you can relaxed. And then arm unfolds out to the side and take a peek at the hand. Now bend the elbow, curl the fingers in. Arm is nice and heavy. And returning back forward to the front. Let's do that one more time. Rolling across. Pull your belly in just slightly as the ribs sink heavy and shoulder blades sink heavy to the floor. Now finish by curling the fingers in, bending the elbow, and returning all the way back forward to the front. Press yourself all the way up to sitting. Let's go back to the first side one more time. We're going to do a quick sequence for the inner thighs. So back to the first side. Same setup with the upper body, bending the arm, creating that little bit of bottom oblique support. Now your top leg is going to bend. You can either go flat on your foot, you can come down onto your knee, or my favorite is to have a little spot in between and stand on the inside edge of the foot. Any of these are great as long as your hips are stacked one on top of the other and they're not rolled forward or rolled back. So hips stacked, connect the upper body. Now from deep in the inner thigh, your bottom leg is going to lift and lower. So now we're creating connection a little bit stronger on the inside of the leg. This is not a foot lift. This is a deep inner thigh lift. How close to your groin can you use the muscles to lift the leg? And we go 3, lifting 2. And on this last one, lift and hold. Now from here, take the leg as far forward as you can without your hips moving, and as far back as you can without the hips moving. We'll go forward and back. Forward and back. Let's go 4. Check in. How long is your spine? And 2. Just one more. Forward and back and rest. Great. Press yourself all the way up. Let's do that on the other side. Lying down, back to your side. Good. We're going to bend the top knee. Find your favorite position. Check in. Armpit pulls towards the hip, so your whole bottom side is active. If you're in this halfway stance as I am, you're just standing on the inside edge of the knee. Now both legs plug in. Here's that bottom leg. Lift and lower. Lift and lower from deep in the inner thigh. How close up to your pelvis or your groin can you lift that leg? Use those deep muscles that don't like to work as much. But these guys, once you give them that strength, they will give you that power in return. We go 3 and 2. On this last one, lift the leg and hold. Now, how far forward can you go without the hips moving? Take that bottom leg back as far as you can go. And again, forward. Now, I say as far as you can go, but I mean from the hip joint. If your low back is wiggling and swaying all around, that's your low back doing the work. So keep your low back nice and still and only move the leg as much as it can go without your hips moving, without your pelvis moving. Check in. We have 2 more. And just one more. And then bend the knees and press yourself all the way up. And here is where we finish your hip power workout. Take this, be strong, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.